logistics and last mile delivery. I note recently that the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, remarked that Microsoft saw 2 years of digital transformation in 2 months. Quite possibly, supply and logistics will see even greater acceleration towards digital transformation. What used to be a nice to have has quickly become an absolute business and life necessity. If this problem is not substantially addressed and quickly, businesses will fail and people will not have critical items that they need most, including food to eat. I think we're already seeing incredible explosion in e-commerce since the onset of COVID. 52% increase in health supplies in e-commerce. We're seeing stores and retailers overrun with demand that they're not able to fulfill. And all the mechanics and technology infrastructure behind that is front and center. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's move to our, okay, yes, that was the page I was looking for. Thank you. So this is just some of the stats that are really showing the substantial increase in such a short period of time. And I think as Satya Nadella was saying, I think similarly in supply and logistics, we're going to see massive acceleration in what we expected to see over the next 5 years. I think we can all agree will probably happen in the next year, if not in the next 6 months. So it's a very exciting time to be in this industry segment in our post-COVID future. And what have we learned as this crisis has taken hold?
Hi, thank you, Matthew. I'm pleased to be here with you guys. Maybe just a quick note on presenting myself. So Ludovic Declercq, I'm part of the board of AFM, which is a large retail consortium, mostly based in France with operation all over the world. And so we have almost like 30 brands operating in multiple verticals within the retail industry. You may know Auchan for the groceries, but also Leroy Merlin for do-it-yourself, Decathlon for sport equipment, or other apparel brands and even restoration. And just give you a little bit of context of what I'm doing now within that ecosystem. I'm leading an initiative around last mile delivery, and we created a startup, I would say, called Melting Point, and I'm leading that startup. This startup objective really is to provide solutions around last mile delivery and fulfillment for that ecosystem and brands. And it's important to say that because I think we realize, and those brands realize, that they have to join forces to tackle that specific problematics on fulfillment and logistics in a context of retail transformation. So to your questions, what are the challenges and why, for example, all those brands decided to come together to tackle those initiatives, is that they realize the transformation is huge, is big. You showed some numbers just prior on your presentation. And the change post-COVID are the same. They are not going to disappear. It's just that it's going to accelerate the need for transformation. And it's providing another uncertainty, which I would say it's the unpredictability on the consumer demand. So that for me, what the COVID is providing to the transformation work that those brands have been working on is really on. In addition of that is the uncertainty of the consumer demand. But I would say that it's also an opportunity, as you said, to move forward and to accelerate the transformation. And we see very nice things happening on the floor locally with store by store or brand by brand to find solution to keep in touch with the consumer at all price. And so that's really what matters now. It's to stay really pragmatic on how we can move with the COVID, right? To take that new reality and make sure that we stay very agile to adapt our processes and respond to the consumer demand. So maybe just to come back to your questions, what the most challenge we see in the fulfillment. And so I said it's the same that we had before the COVID. when we realized that delivery really is the center of the consumer experience, and those expectations from consumer are really skyrocketing right now. But it costs time, money, resources, and a great deal of orchestration. And so all those brands have been working very hard to digitalize their processes, their supply chains, to adapt those, to do that new challenges. And those challenges will remain, and nothing will change. It's just that we need to accelerate those and work more as a group than people like individually.
And Ludovic, what would you say have been the biggest surprises for you in this crisis in terms of what it has revealed?
Yeah, the biggest surprises, I think we realized that we knew what we had to do, meaning that when we talk about inventory, we knew that one of the main competitive advantage is the store, right? We have the inventory very close to where our consumers are living. Despite that, we didn't have too much capabilities to enabling ship from store capabilities. So we were putting a lot of pressure to our warehouses that has to fulfill the spike in the demand in e-commerce during that crisis. And so I think we knew it will happen, but we realized that we had put too much constraints or a very sensitive aspect of our dispositif, which is our central inventory and warehouses, where we could have our store playing a bigger role. And actually what is unleashing, it's then the contrary. We see all the brands and stores working very hard to enable those capabilities and to use the stores and different consumer journey using the stores as a way to keep the contact and to keep a way to fulfill our promise.
Wonderful, thank you. Björn, let's turn our attention to you. Maybe you could start with a little bit of introduction on yourself and move into the question.
Of course. Yeah, my name is Björn, working for Planzer in Switzerland. Planzer, you can say, is one of the biggest provider for logistic and warehousing. So we are talking about, let's say, 2,000 trucks and about 5,000 people working for Planzer. So I'm working here for 2.5 years now and helping to transform the business into the direction of e-commerce and B2C. The focus before was more on the B2B part, and now we are fully integrated in the B2C, means on the parcel business, and as well since some years on the big and bulky part and the white glove service. And this is my area at the moment for many projects, the big and bulky and white glove. And what I can say now to the question here on the slide, so one thing we realized now during this period is that the demand for big and bulky is exploding. So we had the story of the do-it-yourself market in Switzerland. So this was of course during the springtime period. Normally people go there buying plants, etc. And now everything was closed from one day to another. But people, they were waiting for spring and they wanted to have their goods as well at home. And in this area, we realized really a huge increase. And of course, a new kind of expectation. So before I can say big and bulky was more okay, it will come in some days and hopefully it will come with a truck, or if not, I maybe need to pick it up somewhere. But now it becomes more standard, and this after, let's say, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I believe that after this period, and this, I think the question a little bit, I think after this period, this will remain, because people realize now that getting big goods, big and bulky goods, is as easy as parcels. And of course, they expect the same experience and they expect the same service. So this is something we are really working on it, and it's challenging. I can tell you it's challenging in this area because it's not so high standard automated, you can say, and there we need to work on now to bring it to scale this business really in our area.
Yeah, you touched on it. I think an interesting question that a lot of people have been discussing, which is what we're going through now. Does it represent a temporary or a permanent change in consumer expectation and delivery? And it sounds like you believe it's going to create permanent change.
Yeah.
Terrific. Guy, let's turn our attention to you on this topic.
Yeah, so first of all, hello everyone. Great to be on this panel with you folks. Guy Bloch, I'm the CEO of Bringg. And for those that don't know, Bringg is a delivery orchestration platform. We made it a mission to help every business out there, regardless if it's a restaurant or grocery or retail or logistic company or service company. We are here to help every company go through the digital transformation of their last mile and be able to up their game in the age of what we used to call Amazon, but I think is now the era or the age of Corona. In so many ways, Corona changed the way we live. It happened rapidly. We were shocked to see how fast things change even within our customer base. But we are now facing a new reality, and this is a reality where consumers either cannot get to the stores because of certain restrictions in certain countries or states, or they don't want to. They prefer not to get to the store to reduce the probability or the chance to get infected. As a result, and I'm meeting with many CEOs in the market, one of their biggest challenges today is foot traffic into stores will go down dramatically. They're already seeing it. However, their cost is not changing. And even if they try to cut costs, in the end of the day, there are some fixed costs like inventory and facilities that it's something that they have to deal with. And with foot traffic and revenue going down and costs remain pretty much the same, that means that many companies under significant threat of going out of business or running into financial difficulties. What is left for them to do is to be creative, it's to be innovative, and to actually go and create a new revenue stream. And what we're seeing is that the new revenue stream is actually go find your customer, go serve the customers wherever they are or wherever they want to buy. If it's a curbside delivery, buy online and pick up in store, same day delivery, next day deliveries, so many different models. But they have now to go and actually address their market in new ways. And everything has to happen rapidly because the reality is just unfolding itself in front of our eyes. With that, it brings challenges. And the main fulfillment challenge that we see is how do you deliver millions of orders to millions of customers through so many mechanisms and models, but still maintain a customer experience and very good exceptional customer experience, because in the end of the day, customers buy where it's convenient, where it's cost effective, and where it's fast delivery. So how on one end you create this exceptional customer experience, but on the other end, you do that with operational efficiency. So you can control your cost and you can control your margins. And with that, you can put yourself to be competitive in the market, and by that win more customers and more market share. So I think what we're seeing from our customers throughout the verticals is everyone is trying to figure out the exceptional customer experience, but at the same time to do that with operational efficiency.
Thanks, Guy. Same question I asked Ludwig before. What has been the biggest surprise for you as we've made this transition?
Wow, there were so many surprises. First of all, how fast we moved from the old reality and the pre-COVID reality into the new reality. How the market so quickly, all of us. I'm looking even at Björn and the relationship that we have with Björn, and how Planzer responded to that, and our customers responded to that, coming back with new ideas, new features, new functionalities, new capabilities that they ask for, contactless delivery, drive-through delivery. Curbside became one of the hottest trends right now, where before it was always a nice to have option. It's now becoming a mandatory. Every store understand that they can fit maybe 3 or 4 people in the store at the same time. So it's much better to have people just come to the store, and as they approach the store, they can actually track them real time, be able to step up and give them the delivery. So I think the big surprise was how fast the market is changing, and it was days, not even weeks of month. The new innovation and features that came with that that put us out there. And of course, to see how the market is rapidly moving to online. We experienced customers that grew their online deliveries 800% and 900% week over week. So I think all of that was very surprising, and it put us on the edge to respond very quickly.
Terrific. Moving on to our next question. You know, when e-commerce is a new status quo for customers and brands, you need to really step up to stand apart. How can businesses really differentiate their brand and services when delivery is really expected? Ludovic, perhaps we can start with you on this one again.
You mean on the, and I believe that when we talk about delivery, people have in mind, let's make sure we deliver fast. But I think this is not really what the consumer expect, of course. But I think it's more, what is more important is that they have the choice, right? They have the choice on what type of service they want to choose. And by knowing what are the consequences of their choices, people are more looking for more answer on what does it cost to deliver, you know, what's the impact on environmental stuff, how much does it cost, can I wait a little bit more and get a discount if I'm getting delivered lately, you know. So they want to take the control of the delivery promise that they've been proposed. So I think this is one of the things, is to give the choice and to be able to orchestrate that choice. This is the first thing. Then it's of course the basic. We can propose delivery, but I think the service that goes with it, like the reliability of the delivery and the visibility on that delivery, it's very basic now. But if you don't have it, still company doesn't provide on-time delivery. And in the era of Uber, when you order your food and you can see on the minute where your carrier or your courier is, you expect that from any type of brands. And the last one is, I think Björn, you mentioned it, with, you know, the big it's not only parcel and small parcel anymore, it's everything. You know, you get delivered from big boxes, and you get kitchen get delivered, or all type of stuff. It's what services is associated with the delivery. So there is part of your product now, and you have to propose additional services that goes with your delivery. For example, can I set up technical product? Can I return in the meantime your old stuff? So it has to come with a end-to-end experience and with additional service with it. So yeah, delivery. Yeah, everybody's proposing delivery now, and I mean, if no, I think I know some brands that are very that keep with the only brick and mortar strategy, which it's a very good strategy if it's well executed as well. I mean, there is no right or wrong. But if you want to compete in the delivery and the e-commerce and being able to fulfill your consumer through different channel, whether it's from store, from your e-commerce and everything, yeah, you need really to come with a little bit more than delivery, with additional services, with your reliability good, and of course with empowering your consumer with choices.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, from my perspective as a consumer, to me, it's all about trust, and trust is about reliability and predictability and communication.
Yeah.
So if I trust that, you know, I had an experience that something was delivered when I expected it to, and I had real-time communication, that's the provider I'm going to pick next time.
Definitely.
Björn, what's your perspective on how brands can differentiate with respect to delivery services?
I love that question because I think this is one of the drive of our project. So it's first we started to think about from the perspective of the customer. So before I can say at Planzer it was always the recipient, and you need to drop off something somewhere. And now we start to, or with our project, we start to turn around and to think as a recipient is a customer now, and to think about what he really expects. And I think this is the start of everything. So it's not anymore delivery. It's a completely customer journey from the shopping part, the shopping world, into the delivery part. And there should be no interruption in between. And I think this is really the key, and it's of course challenging because to integrate all this with the brands, etc., it's quite hard work. But when you can manage this, I think then you are on the right track. That's the first thing. The second thing, what we always forget, and I think now it shows in this period, there are always humans behind delivery. And I think when you put this a little bit more on the top, that you say, okay, even in the big and bulky part, there are always people coming and delivering, and they are sometimes really the one and only face-to-face contact in the whole journey. And when you try to bring this experience from the brand via your people delivering to the customer, I think that's really cool stuff. And how to do it, I think we will come later to this point. You need to provide all the informations, all the data through the whole chain to meet this experience. I think this is really the differentiation in the future, to have no interruption in the whole story. What I can say in addition, and I think we discussed it before a little bit, what we started to put in our delivery service is a preferred date for the customer. I think this is something really important. So as you said, Ludovic, it's not the fast delivery, it's sometimes a fast delivery, but more often we experience it's the preferred date. Customer really looking for that they can say, okay, on this day I'm at home, and I can even already can have a kind of a time window where I know, okay, during this time I need to be at home and this needs to be short. And of course, all the customer communication, what is happening with the goods, where is it at the moment, is there a live tracking behind, all these things, they are very important. And in addition, to close from my side a little bit, I think what in addition is very important is that when we are on site at the customer, that we always have the information with us when we deliver, so that when there was an additional service booked on the point of sale or in the online shop, like returning the packaging material, that not the customer needs to explain us again that we need to take something back. It must be proactive from our side or from the carrier, that we know all about their wishes and that we can really do this job on site in really on a high standard. And I think all this together will bring the whole story into a good story. Yeah.
Thank you, Björn. So, Guy, maybe you could tackle the same question for us in terms of how brands differentiate. And also sort of related to that, I'd be curious in your thoughts of pre-COVID, to what degree were there a lot of brands out there that wanted to develop their own solution versus in this environment, you know, how is that equation different?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, how do you differentiate? I think Björn and Ludovic covered a lot of that. The way I look at that, we all as consumers, it's very easy to connect to that because we are consumers. We want convenient, cost-effective, and very fast delivery. In fact, there were two different research that published in the US. One research found that 70% of US consumer US consumers will select one store versus another based on the delivery options that they have for them. In other words, the more delivery options you give them, you're more attractive to them, you're more compelling, and the consumers will go with you. But then the flip side to that, 84% of US consumers will not forgive you if you messed up. So if you said you'll deliver within 30 minutes, you arrived after an hour or 2 hours, you run the chance of actually losing that customer. So it's a double-edged sword. You have to go into that, you have to differentiate, but you also have to do that very well in order to meet those SLAs. So if I break it down, I'm working with customers for the last couple of years and help them through this digital transformation and actually see the impact of what happens when they go through this transformation. The first thing to differentiate is more delivery options. 5 days or 7-day delivery or next week delivery is no longer compelling. If you want to compete, especially when you have marketplaces around you, you have to offer more. If it's a click and collect and click and curbside, if it's 30 minutes delivery, 1 hour, 2 hours, same day, next day, all various options, the more you offer it to your customers, you're more compelling, and you give them wide variety of options to choose. So that's the first thing to differentiate. The other thing, SLAs. It's the SLA. Make sure you say what you do and you do what you say and you deliver to the SLAs. That means a lot of things, of course, because SLA means that you have to deliver to your customer. If it's food and your SLA is 30 minutes, it doesn't matter to the consumer if it's you're in Chicago or in New York. 30 minutes is 30 minutes. It doesn't matter to the consumer if it's rush hour or not. 30 minutes is 30 minutes. Which really means behind the scenes, you need to organize yourself to have more delivery models, work with multiple fleets, and be able to cover if it's your fleet or someone else's fleet, but build enough supply inside your fulfillment network to make sure you're always on time. The third thing is to differentiate. It has to be real time. All these mechanisms need to work in real time, because if I want to deliver something to you today, but the inventory is 2 days away, then I cannot even in real time, I cannot even offer that to you. But the whole concept of real time is really understanding all the moving parts of the delivery, and in real time have that visibility and ability to orchestrate it to create the exceptional customer experience. And the last thing that will help you big time to differentiate, it's operational efficiency. And the efficiency has to go from the last mile to the middle mile to the first mile. And the deeper you get into that, the more efficient you become. Your cost for delivering will go down dramatically. You'll be able to maintain higher margins for yourself. But most importantly, you'll be able to be competitive for your customers and offer your solution at either at no cost. I mean, like offer your merchandise or food or goods either at no cost or something that is very minimal. Pre-COVID, believe it or not, we ran into many scenarios, many customers that they had the appetite and the motivation to do it themselves. We've seen that in many cases. We stayed very close with these customers and walked them through that project. And at a certain point, when they realize it's not an easy problem to solve by yourself, those that really perfected that, those are companies like Amazon and Instacart and DoorDash and Postmates, but that's what they do for living. There are technology companies and logistic companies, that's what they do for living. And that's why they, became expert in that and succeeded in that. So do it yourself. We saw that a lot as a natural evolution and development of the market. In COVID and post-COVID, customers don't even have time to customize solution for themselves. They want out of the box, quick, stand up my curbside delivery, same day, next day. They work. We move from an era where the motivation was greed and growth to an era where the motivation is survival. And what they need right now is to survive, and that means time to market, no time to development. Don't even you as a vendor, don't even develop for me out of the box. What works for others will work for me. along the way, I'll continue expanding.
You mentioned efficiency. I mean, do you think that it's possible for brands and vendors to achieve efficiency if they do it alone?
Yes, absolutely. That's the big premise behind what we do. Efficiency, in the end of the day, is when you bring all the market forces together on one digital platform and you give access to your customers to engage that, and then they have the wide variety of options to deliver. At that point, it becomes a much more competitive economy, and it provides them so much more, competitive options for them to choose. So the first efficiency comes from you engaging, aggregated forces or consolidated forces of the market. Just to play with your imagination, Amazon, which is a monster, it's a beast when it comes to fulfillment network. If you look at their fulfillment network versus the aggregated forces of the open market, the market wins hands down in terms of scale and in terms of options that it can provide to you. So that's one thing. The other way to do efficiency is automation and optimization. And when everything
You're breaking up a little bit, Guy. All right, I think unfortunately, Guy, for a moment here. Let's move on to the next question, and we'll come back to Guy. So we're seeing a lot of restaurants and retailers turning retail space into dark stores and dark kitchens as a delivery-only format. I think we see this also with respect to Cloud Kitchen and Travis Kalanick's new company. Oh, you're back, Guy. Did you want to finish your last point?
Digital, and it's connected. Your orders, your orders, the inventory. You hear me?
You're back, but you're still connection's a little bit iffy.
So if you can hear me now, I'll just summarize the last piece. Can you hear me now? Awesome.
Yes.
So all I'm saying, efficiency is a result of digitizing and connecting every resource of your fulfillment network. And when everything is digitized and connected, every pillar of the fulfillment network, at that point, the algorithms make the decisions for you, and it's optimized and it's automated, no manual intervention. And that's how you achieve that efficiency. So collection of consolidated forces of the market that come to serve you, and everything is digitized and connected. You have full control on those resources to make the optimal decisions.
Thank you, Guy. You're breaking up again at the end, but we'll move on to the next question. Hopefully it'll be better when we get back to you. I was saying before that we're seeing a lot of number of restaurants and retailers turning retail space into dark stores and dark kitchens as a delivery-only format in terms of repurposing that retail space. We're also seeing Cloud Kitchen, which I think is Travis Kalanick's new company, raise a substantial amount of capital to address this new trend. Is this a trend that we expect to take hold in the post-COVID-19 era? Björn, perhaps we can start with you on this question.
Of course. So at the moment we are not dealing with restaurants, but I just give my insight on this point as well. What we can see with the dark stores, what we face is that more and more smaller shops are coming now into this online wave. And the interesting thing on that is that they have a high demand on how they want to have the experience and the delivery to their customers, because before there was a reason why they are offline. They wanted to have the touch point with their customers. They want to be close to their customers. And when they are moving now to online, they really need to have everything as before, but online means that having the contact to the customers, getting back the feedbacks from the customers, having the data back from the customers, having the options for the customers means the add-on services. So what we realize here, we have some boutique stores for high value furniture, And before it was their idea to deliver by themselves, but now scaling the whole thing in the online, it's not anymore possible. So they need a kind of a carrier, but as we said, with a high standard. And this is something I can see now. So shops and business are moving now faster to online, and the shops, they are not yet online. They have really a high demand on quality. And this we need somewhere to deliver from our side and to meet this demand.
Thank you. And Ludovic, you have a perspective on this topic of retailers and restaurants turning into dark space?
Yeah, I don't really know, right, if what's the future looks like for that thing, but what I can observe is it's just fantastic and very inspiring, and the way the restaurant industry and some of the different stores have chosen to become dark and to specialize themselves for just picking and delivering. And I believe that this is a trend that is here to stay, especially in the restoration area. I don't know about the other category, like when we talk about do-it-yourself type of product or sport equipment. But what we can learn from that period is fulfilling from store. It's really disorganizing the way those stores have been set up from the beginning, and so you have resources there that are not there for just picking and delivering and providing the package to a delivery guy. They were there for counseling, advising the customer, having these touch points, as you said, Björn. So it's really changing the pure organization and the setup of those stores. And so if you want to accelerate your ship from store, or actually to be able to fulfill your online order quickly, meaning that you want to deliver within 30 minutes or 1 hour in some urbanization, seems that you have to fulfill from the warehouse or the distribution center that is really close to your consumer. So now it's the store because they are here, but we see that it's not very efficient. And so a way to make it efficient is to turn those stores into dark store and to reorganizing it from scratch to really specialize them in picking area. So as long as if the trends of fast delivery is confirming, and I think we can see that with multiple player going into that space in the last few years, that will force the retailers to play that game as well, to be able to fulfill their orders from where the consumer is, and the consumer is not in near the big distribution centers that in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I believe this is a trend here that is here to stay.
Yeah, thank you, Ludovic. Guy, what's your view on this topic?
Yeah, I like my two friends here said, this is the trend, and it's happening. It's happening in front of our eyes. I personally think it's a very attractive business model for those restaurants or retailers that up until now they had the stores, and now they see that they can actually generate revenue stream for much lower cost. I think it's an attractive business model for them. And I think many people will learn, like any other crisis, the crisis puts challenges in front of you, and as you tackle those challenges, you create new business models, you innovate, and those that are innovative and creating the new business models usually come out of the crisis stronger than before, and then they manage to take that wave and actually lead that from the front for years to come. The technology, it's very hard to do dark store, to operate the dark store if you not digitize and if things are not connected, which means it's not just the business model, but the entire operation goes behind that. I think many retailers will have the time over the next few months to perfect that. And as we get out of Corona, that would remain a business model. I would not say it will remain the same extreme we see now, but it will not go back to what it used to be. And we're going to find somewhere in the middle. And from that point, we'll continue growing.
That makes sense. Thanks, Guy. Final question. We spoke about the challenges of economics, operations, fulfillment, and differentiation. Since each of you have a different market perspective, I'd like each of you to take a few minutes to tell the audience what you believe the #1 takeaway companies should be focused on to ensure their success. Ludovic, why don't we start with you on this one?
Yeah. No, I think what I really like to point out is I've been in supply chain my entire career, and it's a very interesting perspective that I have on feeling that supply chain used to be kind of a function, and then that the rest of the company is driven by marketing and sales. And delivery, fulfillment, it's now really at the center of the company strategy. And so it's not about having the topic of delivery or fulfillment being taken care of only one function, which is, I don't know, logistic or supply chain or planning. It is really a comprehensive cross-functional team that is about consumer experience, as Björn said, is starting with the consumer. And so it's a strategy of your company. And so for me, the key things is really strategy alignment on what do we want to achieve for which use case. And this take a village to operate, because there is a little bit of everything to make things happen. There is technology, there is processes, there is marketing, there is branding, everything. So for me, it's really strategy alignment on the use case, and being able to regroup cross-functional teams to pull this off. So yeah, that's going to be my my little tip for success, is alignment of what we want to achieve and bringing the right competencies around the table to make it happen.
Thank you. Björn, what are your key takeaways?
I think you need always to include the delivery in the complete customer journey. It's no way to exclude it somehow as we did it in the past. So that's really my #1 takeaway. And this is not possible without technology, never ever. So you need to orchestrate and to manage your deliveries, and you need to be proactive regarding your deliveries. What does it mean? In the past, it was always the customer complaining that it was too late or the delivery was not good, the goods were damaged. And then we somehow reacted on this, and then we have really complaints and unhappy customers. And what we need to do in the future, or where we started now, even with some help from Bringg, is to always be the master of the delivery, and to somehow wow the customer at the end. And it's not such a big thing when you have all the data, when you have the algorithm behind that helps you to take the right decisions. So when is the right window to deliver, when you are in time. So it's always to get back even the feedback of the customer. That's so important even for the brands. We are collecting so many feedbacks on site by delivering the goods. So all this needs to come back in a kind of a learning loop. This is so important. So what I can say as a takeaway, close the line between all these points and take it as a complete journey. And this is never ever possible without the technology behind.
Well said, Björn. And Guy, what's your view on this topic?
Yeah, I would actually separate it to two. I think one is to do something very similar that we did in our company. First, realize that COVID changed the market, and actually COVID changed consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is now changing the market, and we need to change together with the market. We need to adapt, we need to adjust, and we need to do the modification. Everyone need to do the modification to adjust themselves to the new reality. That takes a lot. It takes us being brave, courageous, creative, and as we said in our company, the time to put the bathing suit on, to put the goggles and just jump into the water, and just don't do one thing. Just don't do anything. You know, don't be in a position where you do nothing and you wait for the storm to just pass and see where you end up. So definitely take initiative, and we see it with our customers. A new customer that joining, that they just very resilient, and they understand that things are changing and they're changing accordingly. More from what you can do, as we discussed, you know, foot traffic will go down dramatically. Restaurants are talking about 50% reduction, decrease in foot traffic over the next few months. You have to create a new revenue stream, and in essence, you have to get to your customers wherever they are or wherever they want to buy. This is not, it's a very complex problem. It's not an easy problem that you can solve by yourself in a day. But the good news, the market is mature. You have the technology, you have the fulfillment network, you have delivery fleets like Planzer, for example. You have flexible warehousing. You have so many solutions that are available today in the market. They're all wrapped with technology. They're all ready to jump in and bring it together for you. And the most important thing is, wherever you start, know that it's not going to be the end of the journey. It's a journey. If you start with curbside, very quickly you'll want to move into buy online, pick up from store, same day delivery, next day delivery. So always approach that problem with a platform, and don't go after the point solution, because in the end of the day, you'll end up with many point solutions that are not integrated. Approach it as a strategic problem, have a platform that can take you from level 1 of maturity all the way up to level 5, and make it a journey, not a sprint.
Makes a lot of sense. We're going to turn to the audience now for a couple of questions. I apologize in advance. We don't have a lot of time left, so we're only going to be able to do 1 or 2 questions here. But we'd love to hear from the audience. So let's please get the first question. Ludovic, what business value are you looking for when thinking about delivery to your customers?
No, I think it's what the brands we're working for are asking is really that we develop solutions that is an extension of the brand, and they can really continue the conversation throughout the chain, from all the consumer journey. And then the value here is that you have a comprehensive, when you provide all the options, you provide all the opportunities to have something that is really, you're providing all the elements that the brands need to provide to its consumer throughout the delivery. So that's, I mean, every part of the product, it's part of the consumer experience, it's part of the brands. It has to be a seamless journey, it has to be very well integrated, it has to be just a continuous journey for the consumer. So that's the value for a consumer that we need to work on.
Thank you, Ludovic. One final question, because we're just about out of time here. This is for you, Guy. Many of the ideas presented require new technology, resources, and processes. How do you identify the optimal timing and changes for making these investments, given the current economic climate?
That's a good one. That's a good Question. I think first of all, there is a question to be asked. Are you in a survival mode or not? Right now, I would recommend what I recommend to my executive team and recommend to colleagues in the industry. Put priorities on things that are not top one. The highest priority. Put it on hold for now and really focus on what you need to support your business and go through this crisis and come out of that strong. In other words, prepare yourself for the attack and don't just take a step back. And with that said, I would first prioritize how important this initiative for you, and based on that, I would engage that. I would not wait. You identify that this initiative is critical for the survival mode, then you have to engage it. The good news for everyone here on the line, from the partner side, the vendor side of the market, we see it. We see the struggle and we understand it. And I think you'll find many partners out there, including us, to be flexible. The first thing is, for example, in Bringg, we now reduced our ability to stand up customers within 2 weeks. In order to reduce the time to market and put them in a position to respond to the corona challenges. There are various business models that you can explore. So I would not just look at that from a cost perspective and timing. I would look at that from a priority perspective. And if that's a priority, make sure you reach out to a vendor that could be your partner, understand the challenges that you have, and together build that journey. Another thing is you don't have to jump all in to do everything. So maybe you start, for example, with curbside. You're successful there, you nail that, move on to do other delivery models. So look at that as a journey, and don't look at it as a hit and run, and be able to prioritize those initiatives and know that on the other end, we're all going through this challenge together. No one is immune, and we're all facing the same challenges. And I think you'll find very understanding vendors out there that will help you through this time.
Thank you, Guy. We're going to wrap up here as we're coming up on time. I think in the time of a crisis that we're experiencing globally right now, it's a unique opportunity for brands to create relationships with customers and to establish trust with customers. And I think people always remember their experiences most in the times of great crisis. Market pressure and public demand are very high and continuing to change. Industry giants are ramping up to meet these challenges, engaging new models, introducing new customer experiences, and optimizing efficiency. And I'm quite confident that when this crisis with COVID is over, we will emerge even stronger, and these new capabilities will become a permanent part of society and business commerce. With that, I wanted to thank all of our panelists very much. Thank you for your insights and spending time with us today. And thank you to all the attendees for making the time today. Thank you.